Tamil Nadu's number one brand in mobile accessories, Happy Pola. Enjoy your favorite movies and shows with our new level of sounds.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Fours and Sixers with me, Swaroop, Swaminathan. As always, I have
Gomesh here.
we are here to talk about India's narrow 6-run win over Pakistan. The first question, I'll get to it straight to the point. Should India have won that match?
I mean, should India have won that match? Probably not. It was Pakistan games load, and that is exactly what happened, because you don't lose when you have 7 wickets in hand, 40 runs needed of 6 overs in a T20 match, irrespective of the condition. It was not a minefield as it was for India versus Ireland. It was not as unplayable as
I thought the pitch had settled down.
Yeah,
what they 140 plays 130 kind of wicket.
What they made it out to be. But then again, I think Pakistan did a Pakistan, went into a shell completely, made terrible choices with respect to their batting lineup and batting order as well, and it all came down crashing. But at the same time, due credit to Jasprit Bumrah, who turned the game around in that particular over, 15th over, and from that's when you know India are going to pile all over Pakistan. We have seen this before.
Just before coming to the Indian bowling, two very strange innings played by Pakistani batters. First, obviously, is Mohammad Rizwan. He probably did the right thing in wanting to take the game deep, but once you've made that very, very conscious choice, you have assured all your attacking shots, why would you try to slog Jasprit Bumrah out of all people?
And I think it's probably a rhetorical question than trying to find an answer to it. I don't think there is an answer to that question, and especially when you try to do that on the very first ball of the second spell.
When you know that the target is run a ball, when you know that you're Mohammad Rizwan and that is probably your bread and breakfast in the T20 format, you're probably telling yourself, if you bat 120 balls, you take your team home. Why don't you try to do that then? Why would you want to try to slog him out of all people?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think it also didn't help with the fact that they promoted someone like Imad Wasim, and he kind of went into a shell. Then when Fakhar Zaman came and he hit a couple of big shots, it was kind of a release of pressure for Pakistan. But once again, his shot selection is also has to be questioned. Like, jumping out against a spinner is fine, but against a pacer like Hardik Pandya, who is going to bowl back off the length, and on the very first delivery of that over, when run a ball is what is needed, is not necessarily what you need. But once Zaman got out, Imad Wasim came in, and he went into a shell, forcing Rizwan to do something. But at the same time, it's a pretty similar and simple thing. Like, if someone like Dhoni is going to try and chase down a total, he's not going to take out Jasprit Bumrah. He's going to try and take out others and play out the premium bowler of the opposition. That's basic chasing 101. But again, I don't think we'll be able to find logical answers to what happened last night.
The other batters whose innings that I found was, interesting to say the least, was, the batter that you had mentioned, Imad Wasim. When Aksar was bowling to him, in that 16th over, he had the short leg side boundary but never targeted it.
Yeah, and it was very clear Aksar was trying to bowl the wide line, and he was simply trying to cut it, and
In fact, I think the only unconventional shot that I remember the Pakistani batter was Naseem Shah in the last over when he scooped. I think it was Arshdeep.
In the last over, yeah. That is what it has come down to, right? When there is a set field, when these are the bowlers and what their plans are going to be, the least you do is throw them off their game, rather than trying to slog your way out of them, and that's exactly what Pakistan batters did. But India did, stick to their plans. They just did what they always do against Pakistan. They just hung in there long enough for Pakistan to lose their, cool, and from there on took it from there.
Coming to the Indian bowlers, I know it's been suggested in some quarters. You yourself mentioned at the beginning of the show that about just the brilliance of Jasprit Bumrah. Now, Bumrah is, I think all of us know that he's a brilliant bowler. Any format, he's an all-format great already. Yesterday, though, especially in that Bumrah over to Iftikhar, when the match really swung to India's favour. Two full tosses, two knee-high full tosses, leg side, he should have cleared it, especially when he was a six-hitter.
He should
I
have.
mean, even considering that the data suggests that Bumrah's full tosses
Or
is
more,
very
yeah,
hard to put
yeah,
away.
Yeah. More than the not hitting part, more than the execution part, it's just the intent part that probably should concern Pakistan more. They didn't even try to put it away, rather than they just try to drive and flick the full tosses rather than try to get some boundaries somewhere, a six here and there. And that's been the long concern for Pakistan in this format, despite them, a semi-finalist and a finalist in the last two editions. They've over the last couple of years, since the last T20 World Cup, teams have upgraded significantly in this particular format, and yet Pakistan have remained in a bubble. And
which is an extreme irony, considering because Pakistan were one of the early innovators of this format, like in this format.
And probably also because where that format was at that point in time, from there on every other team has run away with this format, whereas Pakistan is stuck in a bubble, and it probably doesn't help with all the administrative and the captaincy changes.
The white noise that comes out of Pakistan played on a weekly basis.
It's just not going to help at all on the field. Tactically as well, we saw after the loss against USA as well, Babar saying the bowlers should probably have done enough, and in fact he was batting at run-abouts strike rate. He hasn't had a good score in this World Cup so far as a captain as well. While you understand the logic of bringing someone like Imad Wasim for this particular game, what beggars belief is the way they, when like how India promoted Akshar Patel to plug a hole. It's a basic thing, like. But when you are chasing something like that, when you should promote someone who would probably take the risk and hit some sixes, rather when you already have an anchor in the middle, you have Rizwan in the middle, means send someone like Iftikhar or even Nazim for that matter, and try and hit a couple of fours or sixes and bring down the run rate. But again, I think it will only make the job harder for someone like Gary Kirsten, and we'll be very fascinated to see how Pakistan team unravels after this World Cup.
Moving on from Pakistan to India, there's been, coming into the World Cup, you would have probably said Jaiswal, Rohit, Kohli, Pant being your top four.
Yeah.
They have changed it significantly. Were they informed by what they were about to expect in the US, or did they spring a surprise on the cricketing world?
I think this was always going to be their plan, especially after what they saw of Dubey in the IPL. And although the rewards of it is yet to be seen, because they have played only a couple of matches, and both of them in the United States.
Is it safe to say that Rohit, Kohli and Pant will be their number 1, 2, 3 even in West Indies?
I expect them to be the same, and I expect Dubey to get a longer run in West Indies as well, unless he fails in Super 8s, and then probably then they make some changes to bring someone like Samson in. But otherwise, whatever changes they have made, whatever batting lineup they have had, perhaps the best move they have done is bring in someone like Rishabh Pant at number 3. He's someone who can play the conventional way, but at the same time throw off the bowlers of their plans, and it also provides the necessary cushion to protect someone like Suryakumar Yadav up in the power play when the ball is doing a bit. Although in flatter conditions, Suryakumar Yadav is.
Will we even see a flat wicket in this one?
That's a question we'll have to wait and see. But again, Dallas had been really good, but Dallas leg is over. We'll have to wait and see how West Indies goes. It'll probably get more tougher, but it's too early to call whether this will work in West Indies or not. But so far, what we can say for sure is that India have stuck to their intent because they have Akshar, because they have Dubey. All the wickets that fell on against Pakistan, including Hardik Pandya, were against the run-off play, where they were trying to go for their shots and lost their wicket rather than the bowlers outsmarting them or outplaying them in any way, or the pitch playing a trick. But that's something very rare with this Indian team. But what they would not want to do is go back into a shell, seeing this as a concern, and go back into a shell come the big games, which is something they are tentative to do in the past editions as well. So we'll have an answer only down the line.
I mean, obviously, with respect to the batting department, Jadeja is someone who's consistently underperformed. Akshar has probably now become the lead spinning all-rounder in this side, so to speak. We have already seen how wickets in the West Indies have spun. Akil Hussain took, I think, 5 for almost nothing against Uganda. Will we now see somebody like a Kuldeep also getting into the scheme of things, irrespective whether it's replacing somebody like a Siraj or maybe even Jadeja's or maybe even a Shivam Dubey?
I'm not entirely sure if they'll drop either of Jadeja or Dubey. I think Jadeja will be a handful come the West Indies leg of the tournament. Like that's what he has done time and again whenever he plays in the IPL in Chennai. Little bit of help and he is all over the opponent. And come West Indies, I expect both Akshar, Jadeja and Kuldeep to play, and one of the seamers either of Siraj or probably Siraj because Arshdeep brings in the left arm pace at variety to miss out. Whether Dubey will continue or someone like Samson will come in will depend on the batting lineup dynamics and how long a rope Dubey gets before he makes an impact. But as for the spin bowling department, if and when they play 3 spinners, it will likely to be 2 left arm spinners and Kuldeep Yadav.
We'll wrap up this show with just the last question. Obviously, India can go 3-3 if they dispatch the US in New York.
It's not going to be an easy thing because although the conditions are not as US has played in
Conditions are
Dallas,
improving in New York.
which will make it all the more tougher for a team like USA, and they'll be up against a much better bowling lineup. It's not going to be easy, but at the same time, they still have one more game to go after that against Ireland, which will probably seal the fate of Pakistan because if USA wins another game or if Pakistan loses another game, they are crashing out, and which will be which is not what probably the ICC or the broadcasters would have expected because a large chunk of the audience, TV audience especially, comes from the subcontinent.
If the ICC has its way, they will probably want 6 India-Pakistans at the World Cup, even though that's mathematically not possible.
Yeah, but again, sport doesn't work that way. It's not how it works. So here, it's not going to be easy. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out, and we will bring you all that in a preview before the India-USA game. Until then, this is Gomesh signing off with Swaroop. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.